Good evening and welcome to Otsego TV. We're here in beautiful Tontogany, Ohio, getting ready for second round action of the OHSAA playoffs. Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying,
Good evening and welcome everybody to Otsego TV. We're in beautiful Tontogany, Ohio, where we have some second round action in the OHSAA playoffs getting ready to take place tonight here with Otsego at home playing Marion Pleasant. Stay tuned with us. At about 6:30, we're going to get ready to go live with a kind of I guess a little bit of like a pregame show, I suppose, but it's Kevin Vollmer here in the booth with my buddy AJ Digby. We're just getting ready for this action. Stick with us on Otsego TV and we'll be back in about 20 minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to Otsego TV. We're here in Tontogany, Ohio, getting ready for the second round action between Marion and Pleasant here in Tontogany against your Knights. I'm here with my buddy, AJ Digby. I'm Kevin Vollmer. AJ, how are we doing tonight?
Pretty good so far. It is a 58-degree day. There is a slight rain shower that looks like it just is about to pop up and pop through, so we might get a little bit of sprinkles here, but that should be gone around kickoff or just after kickoff, and pretty much have a dry football game from that point on. And even if this rain comes, it doesn't look like it's going to be long or heavy, so should be a perfect night here for some football here on a Saturday evening for round 2 of the state playoffs.
Yeah, thank you, AJ. We, as AJ had said and I had said as well, we are in the second round. Otsego had a bye in the first round as they are the 2 seed in Region 18. And tonight they're going up against the 18 seed in Marion Pleasant, who last week had played Benjamin Logan, who was the 15 seed, went to Benjamin Logan and beat them 35-13. That was a close game that Marion had played. Through 3 quarters, that game was 14-13, and then right at the end of the third quarter, Marion had a very solid drive, went up to 21-13 after a trick play had resulted in a touchdown, and then in the fourth quarter, they kind of just ran away with it. So that kind of set up the action that we're going to see tonight. Pleasant comes into this game at 2-5. They had won their first game of the season against Marion Harding, went on a streak of 5 losses, and then had won their game against Benjamin Logan in the first round away at that game, and then that brings them here to Otsego tonight.
Yeah, and while Marion Pleasant might be 2-5, some of these games are against division higher opponents. So, for instance, Shelby is Division 4. Lucas was a loss against Division 7, so that was a little bit lower. But River Valley was Division 3. Clear Fork and Ontario were both Division 4. So some of their losses against higher level, higher division opponents. But overall came up with a quality win against Marion Harding, who is Division 2, and then beat Benjamin Logan by 22, as Kevin said earlier, who is also in our division, in our region, Region 18. As he had mentioned, this is the second round of the playoffs. And Otsego had a bye week, as you Otsego fans know, and we also had Eastwood within the division with a bye week, and we had a couple other divisional teams that had played this week of the playoffs, and the first of which was Elmwood. Elmwood was 3-3 heading into the playoffs, and they played 17th seed Lakota. Elmwood was the 16th seed, and they won 53-21. So Elmwood has advanced to the second round against Liberty Benton, who is the 1 seed. If you move on to Genoa was the 9th seed, and they played the 24th seed of Brooklyn, and they won 55-0, and move on to play North Union out of Richwood. Lake was the 12th seed, and they lost to the 21st seed Waynedale, 20-26, so that knocked Lake out of the playoffs.
That was the surpriser that we had seen from the NBC. Lake was probably expected to win that game, so a surprise knockout there. Rossford, next in the NBC, they are not playing in the same region as they are a division higher than us. They went on to win against Worcester Triway 44-34. Woodmore plays a division down in Division 6. They had lost this weekend in Hicksville 16-28. And then Fostoria in Region 18 with us was the 25 seed. They went up against number 8 seed Richwood North Union and lost 0-48. That is the team that is now going on to play Genoa next week, as we had mentioned. So you may be wondering, how did Otsego get here? However, I'm sure most of you probably have been following throughout the season and know this, but your 9th ranked Knights come into the night undefeated at 6-0. They have played Woodmore, who they won against 42-13. They followed that up with a great win at Eastwood, where they broke that dreaded streak and won that game 17-7. And next, they followed that with a home win against Lake, 27-13.
And then they went to Genoa and won 32-0 with a shutout there. And then they went to Rossford and won 59-28 in a really offensive duel. If you did not watch that game, I believe Joe Jurwa had 5 touchdown passes that game. But overall, a great game for Joseph with, I think, 400 yards plus passing. So that was a 59-28 win against Rossford. And then the season finale was home against Fostoria, which was a 47-18 win, which clinched the NBC Divisional Championship for Otsego, which is our first, I believe, since 2005. So that was awesome to have, was to clinch the Divisional Championship, which led us to be 6-0. We were the second seed in the region, in Region 18, which gave us the bye week to play the winner of Benjamin Logan and Marion Pleasant. And as we mentioned, Marion Pleasant came away with that win to move on to play us this week here on Saturday night. Just a little bit more of statistics for our season for Otsego. Some of the ones that stand out to me for sure are that we averaged 406.7 yards per game over the course of our 6-game season so far, 235 passing and 171 rushing. So a pretty balanced attack in the end. You know, it really felt like we passed the ball more than we ran. But the thing was that we ran so effectively, especially Trent Leiter averaging about 8 yards per carry, as we'll get into later. But a really effective offense that we've seen, just been able to move the ball and score, and really low turnover rates. Only averaged 1.5 turnovers on the year. And you would obviously like that to be lower, but that's relatively low, especially at the high school level, and not knowing what the weather conditions are like. You know, some of these games are definitely more rainy, more windy, things like that. And when you're a passing offense, that can lead to some turnovers. But we've really been able to keep control of the ball, keep control of the games, really, and have come away undefeated so far. And what are some of the other statistics that stood out to you?
Yeah, one of the big things, as you had mentioned, AJ, is although it feels like we do pass quite a bit in this offense, which we definitely are, it's still a very balanced attack. Otsego can beat you both ways. They can take you through the air with the great receivers and a great quarterback, and also they have great running back as well, as you said, with Trent Leiter. Very powerful in the running game, and you're always going to get yards, as we had mentioned as well. Over 8 yards a carry is just unreal to see. Some of the crazy things we have seen this year. So Joseph Giroux actually leads the NBC in passing with over 1,300 yards, 1,363 yards on the season, a passer rating of 121.5, and 18-5 touchdown to interception ratio, which is awesome. A completion percentage as well, 64.5%. That's something. I mean, that's a great season.
Yeah, I think one of the crazy stats too that I looked at, we haven't really had to punt much, and I've mentioned it on the broadcast, but Joseph, his father, Matt Gerwell, who is the head coach, was a punter at Northwestern. Joseph is also the punter for Otsego, and Joseph is averaging 41.1 yards per punt, which is really hard to do, and actually, I think only about 10 yards away from where potentially most NFL punters are at. So he's in a pretty close range there, definitely at most collegiate punters, but that's always what helps when your dad was a collegiate punter, and Joseph definitely has the gift as well. So along with all of his passing stats, having those punting stats when we need to punt can be very crucial.
Yes. And then getting into those receiving stats, obviously, if you have a lot of passing yards and you're passing the ball well, the receivers are probably going to have some stats that are looking pretty good themselves. The receiving core that Joseph has on the outside is incredible. Joseph's older brother, Noah, the senior, through 6 games this year, he has 7 of those touchdown passes that Joseph has thrown. And to go with that giant game that Noah had at, I believe that was Rossford earlier this year, he had over 200, or just shy of 200 receiving yards in that game. Noah actually finished the season second in receiving yards in the NBC, just behind Deion Springer, who we saw when we played Fostoria just 2 weeks ago, went off for over 200 yards receiving in that game and 3 touchdowns. That is actually what propelled him to the lead in the NBC. Right behind Noah, we have Devin Kuhn, who's sitting in 5th in the league in receiving. Noah Devin comes in to this game with 294 yards on the season and two touchdown receptions. Ryan Gray comes in with 102 yards and a touchdown reception as well. And then as we talked about, Trent Leiter on the ground having a tremendous year as well with over 500 on the year rushing. And yeah, going back to that passing game that we have, Chase Hellberg is 6th in the league in receiving.
Yeah, and we see Chase Hellberg catch many of seam throws on the year, 272 receiving yards on 15 catches. So he's averaging 18.1 yards per catch, and that is a big number, especially from the slot, from the tight end position. But like we said, we've seen a lot of seam throws for him against a lot of cover 3, cover 1 looks, and we'll be able to see if that can continue tonight. So kind of previewing into tonight, what we've seen out of Marion Pleasant so far is kind of a 3-3-5 defense. So they have 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers kind of stacked up right behind them, and then 5 DBs. So usually 2 corners on each side and then a deep safety, or sometimes kind of that, like they're kind of that nickel corner on the inside that can back off and help out at safety. But that's kind of what you see out of a 3-3-5. We have seen a 3-3-5 before for Otsego. I don't remember what team it was that we played, but we've seen that a couple times for Otsego. And that type of defense tends to lead to a cover 1 or a cover 3 style, just because you have that high safety in the middle. So those seam throws, again, to Chase Hellberg could be pretty good, as well as with only 3 down linemen, we could see a heavy attempt to run the ball. So not really sure what Matt Drew is going to try to dial up tonight. As we mentioned on the season so far, it's been a good mixture of both, at least yardage-wise. And what we saw out of Marion Pleasant offensively was a big showing from number 9, Austin Schaefer. And in watching film, we were able to see a lot of Austin Schaefer this last week. And kind of last week against Benjamin Logan, he had 43 carries in the game. I mean, something ridiculous.
Yeah. Austin Schaefer is the heart and soul of this Spartans offense. Last week, as AJ mentioned, over 40 carries, 205 yards on the ground. The whole offense revolves around him. Through the film, as we'd seen, you're going to see what we expect to see from Marion tonight is we might see a lot of Austin running in the gun tonight. He lines up at quarterback. Sometimes it looks like against Benjamin Logan, he was actually in the backfield behind number 20, Grant Concert. So Concert sometimes lines up as the QB with Schaefer in the backfield. But also Schaefer's taking snaps as the QB, so we're going to see a heavy dose of that, we believe. So as we're talking here, it looks like the Otsego Marching Band is coming onto the field, so we're going to switch over to that. Thanks for tuning in to Otsego TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise for the playing of the Otsego Alma Mater? Ladies and gentlemen, the privilege of this event was made possible by those who have fought and continue to fight for the freedoms we enjoy. Let us now honor and respect their efforts and the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. Civilian gentlemen, please remove your hats. All veterans, we encourage you to render the appropriate salute, and everyone able, please stand and place your right hand over your heart as we proudly sing our national anthem, which will be conducted this evening by Otsego Band Director, Mr. Rich Dubler. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
It's a beautiful fall evening in Tontogany, Ohio, and AJ Digby and I want to welcome you here to Otsego TV for tonight's second round action between Pleasant and Otsego. We're going to be getting underway with this game in just about 7 minutes.
Yeah, round 2 of the playoffs. Round 1 for Otsego people. We did not play last week, had the round bye, but this is exciting. It's been a long time coming. I think 2 years ago we were in the playoffs. My brother was a junior in that season and won our first playoff game against Edison in that one. But other than that, it's been a long time since the Knights had been in the playoffs. And this time coming in as the state ranks 9th and regionally ranked 2nd team. So exciting times, but obviously got to take care of business, have to play a football game. And if you're Marion Pleasant, you're looking to continue this run. You're gifted an opportunity, I guess you could say, with everybody making the playoffs who could want to. And you can make that run even without the winning record in the regular season. Like I said, they played a lot of tough opponents. They played a really solid football game last week, and they're going to look and try to dethrone the Knights.
Yeah, it's a unique season, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of unique occurrences throughout this playoff, with Marion having this opportunity being one of those things. Looks like the Knights are getting ready to take the field here. The field looks beautiful tonight. Thanks for all those who take their part in getting it ready for tonight's action. As we see Coach Matt Giroir's Knights take the field. About 5 minutes left here in the pregame. So as we were talking about earlier, kind of what we expect to see from Marion Pleasant tonight. We were giving you a little bit of a heads up as to what we had noticed. It's going to be a heavy dose of Austin Schaefer, and we expect to see a lot of action on the ground game from Marion. Last week against Benjamin Logan, they ran 71 plays, 69 of those being on the ground, 2 passing attempts by Austin Schaefer, number 9. So Austin himself not only had over 40 carries that game, but also threw the 2 passes that, and out of those 2 passes, he completed 1 of 2. The 1 pass was for a 21-yard touchdown at the end of the 3rd quarter to put Marion up by 2 scores. It was a trick play. AJ had noticed that. It was actually handed off to Schaefer, who then dropped back and threw a touchdown pass to, I think it was number 10, Aiden Casperson. So what we may also see is Schaefer lining up in the backfield with Grant Kontzer as quarterback. He is the number 20 junior for the Spartans. So expect to see some unique looks from head coach Aaron Cook and his Spartan offense. What are you thinking with that, AJ?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, not only it was a trick play touchdown pass, but it was also happened right after a timeout, which you noticed. So a little bit of tag team effort in our scouting of Pleasant. We were able to find some of the games online, some of them just as highlight films on YouTube. So, but definitely some strong play out of them. Even coming in at a 2-5 record, you can never take anybody lightly. And as we mentioned, they had a little bit of a tougher schedule to get there. So, but ultimately they came away with the win last weekend in the playoffs, and a playoff win is a playoff win. So, definitely going to be a lot of 9. What I saw was earlier in the season, we saw him a lot in shotgun with a running back and essentially a halfback wing back that was basically just a blocker back in shotgun, and they would just direct snap it to him, and he would run often. And then kind of later in the season, not as clear because of the way that their highlight films were that I could find, but it actually appeared that, as Kevin had mentioned, 20 Kontzer was under center and then turned and handed off, whether that be in a single back, in an I form, and a wing T, kind of like for us that what we've seen out of Eastwood before. But either way, we are going to see a heavy dose of Schaefer. Kontzer is also under center, as well as number 10, Aiden Casperson. So those are the 3 main runners. Every now and then I saw a couple plays out of their fullback. So we'll be looking for a couple things here tonight. Caden Ralston is their receiver, number 1, a little bit taller, definitely a big target out there if they decide to pass it. So we're in for a game tonight. It is playoff football here at Otsego in Tentagony, Ohio. Like Kevin had said, beautiful weather out here. The rain that we were expecting did not really show up at all, just a little couple spurts on the window, and that was about it. So really, really no moisture on the ground, and great weather and great field conditions. As you can probably see, some awesome paint here for the grounds crew here at Otsego, and we're ready for some playoff football.
Yeah, it's very exciting, not only for some playoff football, but as you had also stated, some playoff football at home. And we're just getting ready for this action to start. Looks like Marion is going to be receiving the opening kickoff. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Everybody getting a chance this season, regardless of how that regular season went for those 6 games. It's very exciting to see that everybody gets an opportunity to kind of start fresh. And you never know what can happen. I know it's not even the same sport, but a local occurrence of something in baseball, Gibsonburg years ago having, I can't even remember what their record was. It was a disastrous regular season. I think they won a handful of games, 5, 6, 7 games, and they went on to win a state championship. So realistically, you don't know what can happen. And so you just have to show up to play the game, go 1-0 each week, and go by week and just see what you can do.
Yeah, momentum is huge, especially in football. So we'll be able to see what that does here tonight as Jeffrey Wingnagel is in for the kickoff with Joshua Lambert and Jonathan Curry back deep for Pleasant.
The kick is off, and the second round of the OHSAA playoffs is underway. Number 4, Joshua Lambert takes that one out to the 30-yard line, and that is where Aaron Cook will send out his offense led by number 9 senior Austin Schaefer for their first drive of the evening.
Yeah, and you'll also see we were kind of highlighting some of the most important players on their team. Number 75, Ethan Enders, the big right tackle out there for Pleasant. We have gotten word that he is committed to go to the University of Toledo to play football. So big guy out there at right tackle, and we see they're going under center here for the first play.
And it is going to be handed off to number 9, senior Austin Schaefer. As we see on that first play, it was Grant Conser that came under center.
Yeah, so maybe a little bit of, as we mentioned, a little bit of change in philosophy over the course of the year for them. Either way, they like to run the football, and especially with Schaefer. But in some of those highlight films, we've seen Conser be under center more often, and that's what we saw there on play 1, and that's what it's looking like it's going to be again here on play 2.
And as we mentioned that too, AJ, as you see, 75 has actually switched from the right side of the line to the left as they hand off that way again to Schaefer, who's brought down for no gain. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 8 very quickly.
Yeah, Schaefer with 2 carries early on. As we mentioned, we're going to get a heavy dose of Schaefer today. But, yeah, great point by you that they actually brought Enders around to the left side, and both carries so far have been to his side. So there's a possibility that we might be able to watch that as this game goes on, but that brings up a 3rd and 8 here for Pleasant, who so far has not really shown a big willingness to pass. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, all season it kind of seemed to be that way, the passing game, not their strong suit. And from what I've only ever seen Austin Schaefer throw the football in any film that I had watched. Man in motion going to the right side. And a timeout is called by Pleasant, maybe not liking what they saw defensively.
Either not liking what you see or trying to draw an offsides, because an offsides there makes it 3rd and 3, which is kind of right in that running territory that they'd like to see. So, but as we mentioned earlier, one of their touchdown passes was off of a timeout. So potentially a pass here coming off the timeout. We'll have to see what they decide to do. But a very early timeout for Pleasant, not necessarily what you would love to do in this scenario, unless they can convert, and then it's not a wasted timeout, and it was worthwhile. But you always do like to preserve timeouts as much as possible. Here we have 10:31 remaining here in the first quarter, only about a minute and a half off the board through the first 2 plays.
Yeah, one thing I expect to see or am curious to see tonight is Pleasant trying to control the clock, knowing how high-powered this offense is for Otsego, not giving the ball to Joseph Giroir to make those plays, seeing if they can control the clock, keep the ball on the ground. As we have a 3rd and 8 from their own 32. It's pitched to the left side. And that one actually went to number 10, Aiden Casperson. That's going to bring up a quick 4th down.
Yeah, Casperson with the pitch, tried to come out here to the left. Nothing really going at it. Only got 2 yards, which was they got the previous 2 plays, so not terrible. But something to watch out for them is that Austin Schaefer, their big playmaker, as well as who we've seen be able to throw the ball, is also their punter. So potential for fakes coming out here.
Otsego blocked 1 punt in their last game against Fostoria. That's not going to be the case here, as the kick is away. And it is fielded by the senior, Noah Giroir. Has a little bit of daylight down the right side. He's hit out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
Good return there by Giroir. Was able to field the low liner punt. Took a couple dribbles before it got there, but Giroir was able to make the first man miss and had enough blocking to pick up about 20 yards. And Otsego is going to start out 1st and 10 at the 40-yard line. A good field position to start their first possession. As we saw the last home game against Fostoria, oftentimes a very good field position, very plus field position. But starting out here, 5 wide.
Yeah, junior Joseph Giroir has trips to the left side, brings a man in motion, looking for that swing pass. It looks like Pleasant may have picked up on that.
Yeah, Casperson was able to shoot the gap of the blocker to kind of block that flare screen route that they had. So that made Joseph have to double pump. Eventually tried to throw it up over top of the defender. There was a little bit of clean room out there, but once you have to double pump and reset, it's definitely a tough throw. Just barely overshot, but 2nd and 10 for the Knights here coming up on this play.
And as you had brought up in the pregame, AJ, it does look like that Marion is coming out in that 3-3-5. As Giroir back in the gun with 2 backs. Quick handoff. Or no, faked that one actually, pulled it out and goes left side and is tackled for about 1 yard. It's going to bring up a quick third down for the Knights. So quickly, both teams this evening have gotten into a third down and long situation on the first drive. And so we will see if Otsego can convert on their first third down this evening from their own 41. It's going to be another trips left with 2 receivers down to the near side of the field. Pass over to the middle to Hellberg, and there it is, what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, right up the middle to Hellberg. Good route to come right in front of the quarterback, and then a great throw by Drua. Basically a sticks route right to the first down that you need to gain, and that's all you really need. So Pleasant coming out with that 3-3-5 early. But it's almost morphed into more of a 3-4 as they do have 2 higher safeties so far early on today. As Leiter catches a pass on the right and breaks it, that is going to be a long touchdown, 48-yard touchdown pass for the Knights.
And right after being put in a third and long situation, the Knights respond by going over 50 yards for the touchdown.
We were hardly able to talk about the previous play just because of the no huddle that we've seen out of the Knights oftentimes, but
yeah, so the Knights are going up 6-0 with 8:40 left in the first quarter. A very long run by Leiter off the right side, nearly untouched. And the PAT is up and good by Devin Kuhn. As I said, 8:40 left in this first quarter. It's 7-0 Otsego over Pleasant.
I apologize there. We tried to get a quick replay, but had to change a little bit of the settings here on the fly. So apologies for that missed replay. We'll try to get the next one. But yeah, quick pass out to the right to Leiter and was able to break it for a long touchdown. And that's the kind of start that you want to make a statement as the number 9 state-ranked Knights kicked off to start the game and end up with the first points on the board, 7-0, 8:40 left here in the first quarter.
Yeah, quick shout out to AJ here. He's not only announcing the game tonight, but he's also the producer. So we're doing our best to maybe bring some replays to you. As Windnagel will head out to kick this ball away back to Pleasant. And that kick is away. And it's bobbled by number 5, Jonathan Curran. And he's hit inside of his own 10-yard line. Pleasant's going to come out starting in terrible field position at their own 7.
Yeah, Curran bobbled it twice, actually. Kind of didn't really read the bounce right and then went to pick it up and missed the pickup as well. So a really bad field position for Pleasant, but we did see I believe it was like a 15, 16 play drive out of them last week. So we'll be able to see if they try to or can put one together. As you had mentioned from the first drive, number 75, Enders, is out here on the left side, so potentially a run here to the left.
And it is. It goes straight to Schaefer for about a 5-yard pickup. Yeah, last week, Marion had a 17 play drive that went for 9 minutes and really sealed the game for them against Benjamin Logan. And as you said, AJ, we see big 75 Enders on all running attempts tonight, I believe, has played to the side of the run. So something to keep our eye on as we progress through this game. As we have 2nd and 5.
Enders is on the right side here for this 2nd and 5.
It's a run to the right. And it goes for another 5, but a late flag is out. Doesn't seem like they're shy to hide it, though. They don't care to show you that Enders is going to line up where they're running the ball. I just think they know the guy is big. I'm sure he can block, and they're going to utilize him.
Yeah, so far he's been able to be a mauler, and while they haven't picked up a first down yet They will hear off of this penalty, it looks like. It looks like it's going to be face mask against the Knights. So they are going to pick up their first down here off of this penalty. But so far, that's been the guy that they want to run behind. And also with a bigger guy like that, if you continue to pound the ball, you can kind of wear down opponents. And that might have been what we saw against Benjamin Logan the previous week. Is it was a 14-13 game at the end of the third, and then they pulled away to win the game. Pleasant did. So
we have Casperson under center, goes left side to Schaefer, spins off a tackle for about 3 yards. Going to bring up 2nd and 7 for Pleasant. Seen a lot of motion in the first few plays from Pleasant tonight. And as we continue to mention, a lot of runs right behind Enders.
Yeah, and as we do mention this, we had word here in the press box that he is committed to Toledo. So the big man, as far as we had heard, we might not be 100% correct, but we had heard that he is offers or is committed to Toledo. This is the first run that goes in the other way, kind of a counter run here to the left, but the Knights only give up 2 yards, able to make the stop. Brings up 3rd down and 5, it appears to be.
Yep, 3rd down and 5 for Cook's offense. As Casperson, not Casperson, excuse me. Concert at QB. We'll see how much I continue to confuse that and mix that up throughout the evening. So Concert under center here on a 3rd and 5 situation. The handoff right side to Casperson. And he's going to be close. Looks like he may have picked that one up. It's going to bring up a 1st and 10 from the Spartan 33-yard line.
1st and 10 Spartan.
I believe it's been quite a bit of the same look offensively from the runs they've been doing.
Yeah, just Concert under center with Schaefer and Casperson in the backfield, and then they get a motion out of Lambert pretty much every single play. Usually 1 tight end, sometimes 2. This time is that fullback dive here to Casperson. The Knights pick it up for only a 2-yard gain.
Yeah, a lot of old school ground and pound football from what we've been seeing. A lot different than anything that I'd seen from their previous games. Cook is getting creative offensively each week potentially.
Yeah, I think Aaron Cook's just trying to get the ball into his playmakers' hands in the best way possible. You know, Schaefer was in the shotgun and carried it a lot early in the season from the games that we were able to see. And then in the quick highlights films that we were able to see later was this kind of more grounded pound style of offense, which I think plays to their strengths. They have a couple guys who can run the football, as we've mentioned. Casperson and Schaefer can both run the football pretty solidly. So just trying to utilize their big men up front and run the ball very well. That one is stopped in the backfield, as that one looked like a counter play that took a little bit longer to develop than they would have liked. And the Knights were able to get back behind the line of scrimmage and have a 2-yard loss on the play. Cade Limes there, who we've seen all year, was able to get into the backfield along with a couple others.
Yeah, this defensive front from Otsego is very powerful, very good. They've been great all season. Tonight's going to be a huge test for them.
And as we mentioned multiple times throughout the year, one of the big keys and one of the things that Otsego has done great so far is they're all very quick, very agile, and they get to the ball. You always have numbers to wherever the ball is. So
all 11 guys inside the box on this play. Just wanted to bring that up. They go right side to Schaefer, who's brought down for about 2 yards.
Yeah, you have to wonder at this point if Aaron Cook has to start thinking about maybe opening up the playbook a little bit more. We haven't seen them throw much this year, but so far I think their biggest run was 4 yards, and after that it's been 1 or 2 every single play, as well as a couple negative yardage plays mixed in. So potentially having to look for some trick plays, look to open it up into passing situations or things like that more here for Aaron Cook, the head coach at Pleasant.
Schaefer gets that one off. Tough catch there by Noah on the return. Jerwa is hit by 2 or 3 Spartans, and a flag comes in at the end of that play.
Yeah, great catch by Jerwa, kind of a center fielder type catch to be able to corral that one in. A much better punt there from Schaefer. looks like they're going to call face mask against Otsego, which would be Otsego's second face mask of the game.
Oh, I wonder if on that stiff arm, maybe Noah got a hand into the face mask of one of those Spartan defenders.
And I'm not positive here, but it feels like the offensive face mask call is kind of a newer style of call. We've seen face masks really at every level happen often on stiff arms, and I think they're recently trying to emphasize the call on it, which I think is a good thing because face mask can be dangerous on both sides of the ball, and I've seen offensive players kind of rip people down on their face mask. Obviously, we cannot see this last play. It was kind of across the field. But as a safety precaution, as well as to call it on both ways, I think calling an offensive face mask is something that needs to happen more and did just happen on that last play at all levels.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's something that I know you and I have been huge advocates about for years now. As we see Giroir throw right side, quick screen, a quick pass to Devin Kuhn on that swing for about 5. There was a hard hit. We've seen that play quite a bit this year.
Yeah, the swing route technically has worked very often for the Knights, and then oftentimes they'll fake that and pull it back to a tunnel screen on the other side. But you also have to wonder here, as I mentioned, it seems to be more of like a wider 3-4 here for Pleasant, and their outside corners oftentimes are not even looking at the quarterback. And that one is just missed, just off the fingertips of Chase Hellberg. Joseph Giroir was hit in the backfield, was under pressure by number 45, Leighton Hamper.
Yeah, it looked like Chase Hellberg had a little bit of a rough time getting off the line of scrimmage there. It looked like him and Casperson actually were getting tangled up on each other about a yard or two off the line of scrimmage. Just held them up just a little bit enough that may have got the timing off from Giroir to Hellberg. So we're going to see a 3rd and 5 for the Knights from their own 36. It's going to be a fake to Leiter. Then he pitches over to the left side to Devin Kuhn, who's able to go for about 15 yards, easily picking up that first down. There's a flag on the play. Looks like this one might be coming back. Yeah, the call is holding against Otsego. So that play is going to be erased. And instead, we're going to see a 3rd and 15 for Matt Giroir's offense.
Yeah, and we saw a triple option look there for the Knights, as you mentioned. Faked the inside handoff to Leiter and then got the pitch out to Kuhn. Ended up being a big play, so that might be one that the Knights try to come back to later in the game. But this is going to bring up a 3rd and 8, it looks like, for the Knights, based on where the holding was 10 yards from that spot.
Giroir looks right side, has a man there. Incredible catch by Devin Kuhn. So he couldn't pick up that first down on the run due to the holding, but it's not going to hold him back here as he gets the first down on the reception.
Yeah, that was a fantastic catch by Kuhn, able to pull it in. The Knights are going to go no huddle. As we've seen oftentimes, right after a first down, they go no huddle. Pleasant does not look like they're ready for it. They scramble up to the line, toss out here to Leiter onto the right side.
Great blocking on the edge, especially by Chase Hellberg on that play, flattened the safety.
Hellberg able to get a couple blocks as well as others, and the Knights are able to bring up a 2nd and 3. 2 minutes here remaining in the first quarter.
Quickly back up to the line is Giroir's offense. We're already down to 1:50 remaining in this first quarter.
We do get a timeout on the far side by head coach Aaron Cook for Pleasant.
Already the 2nd time out for the Spartans in this first half.
Yeah, 2nd time out here in the first quarter as well. So they're only going to have 1 timeout here for the next basically 14 minutes of play time. 2nd and short here for the Knights in plus territory in the Pleasant side of the field.
Yeah, going back to that 3rd down conversion that we just saw from Kuhn. Incredible commitment to catch that ball, going over the middle of the field between 2 defenders, reaching up and having to go after that, knowing he's going to probably take a big hit, and able just, like I said, to be able to commit to that and bring it in.
Yeah, we weren't really able to cover it because of the no huddle onto the first down, but fantastic catch by Kuhn, fantastic throw to fit that in the window because that was fantastic coverage by Marion Pleasant. I mean, Pleasant was all over it on both sides. They had the underneath and over top, and that was such a tight window throw, as well as to be able to make the catch, knowing that there's a hit there. Comes down with the ball and brings up a big first down for the Knights, as now here we are in 2nd and 2.
Almost like a wildcat formation. That's Gonzalez in the backfield, takes the direct snap, gets the first down.
Yeah, Gonzalez was in the backfield. Jurwa was out to the left off of the timeout.
Interesting look from the Knights.
That's not a look that I've seen this year, so not something that Pleasant would be aware of, and coming off the timeout, the type of play that you can call here.
Another beautiful thing about the playoffs is you really get creative and give looks to teams that haven't seen that kind of thing all year. As we have a quick out over to Noah Giroir on the right side. He brings that one in, gets about 7 or 8 yards, going to bring up a second down.
Yeah, we've seen the quick out multiple times here to Jurwa over the course of the year, just on this near sideline, just get about 8-9 yards and then plant your foot, cut to the outside, and that ball was right on the money. Brother-to-brother connection to pick up close to the first down, brings up 2nd and 1 with 1:25 remaining here in the first quarter.
Yeah, Otsego with the momentum starting to build on this drive. Giroir is under center, fakes the handoff, looking right side. He's got a man open. And that's going to be it is Braden Timko.
There is a flag back in the backfield near where Giroir was hit. I believe this one is going to be roughing the passer, so that pass play will count for the Knights. And that's also one of the first times we've seen that type of wing T style of offense here for the Knights as well. So we've seen that so far for Pleasant and for the Spartans. But here the Knights pull it out, something that they probably haven't seen so far this year either. And we pull out with a fake and get it thrown to the backside, get the roughing the passer call. And that is first and goal from the 9-yard line.
Yeah, one of the big benefits of having that bye week is having an extra week to install anything that you want to use throughout these playoffs.
They lined up back into that same formation, but a timeout was called here by the Knights. Their first timeout.
So quickly in this game, we have 3 collective timeouts, 2 from the Spartans and 1 from the Knights. We still have 1:19 remaining in this first quarter. It's been exciting so far.
Yeah, great play so far from both sides. Knights able to capitalize so far and come away with the points and looking to get more. But that timeout is probably a good one. When you're first and goal from the 9, you have to get the 9 yards to score the touchdown. So you really need this first play to be right because you don't want to be behind the ball here essentially on the first play. Don't want any penalties, nothing like that. So we could actually hear within the booth on the opposite side of the booth the coaches yelling down for the timeout on the sideline. So Knights getting that timeout call before the play started, and 1st and 9 with 1:19 left in the first quarter. Score is currently 7-0 Otsego.
The junior Joseph Giroir leads the Knights back onto the field for this first down play. He's under center. Noah Giroir to the near side, 3 backs with Joseph, and it's a pitch to Leiter. Goes right side. About a 2-yard gain. Can bring 2nd and 7. With the 7 they need to pick up being the end zone. Go to an I formation.
The Spartans get a late sub here into the nose tackle. Ball is dropped on the turf. Looks like it was dove on the grass, but Joseph Giroir was able to dive on the fumble, and that's one way that you get behind the goal line situation. 3rd and 10 here, 3rd and goal from the 10.
I know a look that we are used to seeing in a situation like this is the Giroir to Giroir connection, a fade to the back corner of the end zone. Is it something we might see here?
It's for sure possible, especially with the way that the corners have been lining up. They're not really looking at the quarterback. This time they switch it around here on the near side at least.
And Giroir's looking to do that, but he fires one
just out of bounds.
Yeah, just a little bit wide there, and that's going to bring up 4th and goal with 15 seconds left in this first quarter. believe the kicking unit has come onto the field.
Yeah, it looked like that. Like what you said is what they were going to go for, was the kind of fade-ish route to Noah. But I think the Spartans flipped their coverage, reversed it from what they had been doing, and the far side corner was the one who was not looking at the quarterback, and the near side one was backed off a little bit more, kind of one way to roll the coverage essentially, and locked up that ability to make that throw as Kuhn's kick goes up and through the upright, so the field goal attempt is good. It was a 26-yard field goal for the Knights, adds 3 points up to the board, and makes it a 10-0 game.
Yeah, 10-0 here in Tontogany, Ohio. For those of you that are just joining us here on Otsego TV, thank you for tuning in. It's a beautiful evening in Tontogany. The field looks great. The games look great. The uniforms look great. It's a great game. Great night.
It's a great night so far. Definitely hoping for some continued clean, hard football here from both teams on the night. But a fantastic start here for the Knights in the first quarter. 11.5 seconds remaining. And the last kickoff was dropped or muffed twice basically by Jonathan Curran, which set the Spartans back at their own 5-yard line to start their drive. So they're looking for a little bit better field position this time to start here in the second quarter coming up.
Yeah, the Spartans looking to get past their own 40-yard line for the first time tonight. That kick is fielded at about the 20. Finding a little bit of space on the left side is Joshua Lambert. He's able to bring that up to the 29-yard line, and that is where Aaron Cook will send out his Spartan offense to begin their third drive of the evening. Going to get one more playoff in this quarter before we flip ends of the field. Back to all 11 inside the box from Marion, and we have a few players jumping on different sides of the line. Looks like we had an end from Otsego jump off sides along with maybe the right tackle from Marion jump.
That's an interesting one for me because it seemed like both sides, offensively and defensively, the right side jumped on both sides. And actually, the far side official pointed one way and the near side official pointed the other. They ended up going with the near side official as a penalty against the Knights, but two separate calls it looked like were going on there. But that is 1st and 5 now for Marion Pleasant to finish out this first quarter.
And once again, all 11 guys inside the box on this play. Schaefer is hit almost immediately at the line of scrimmage, and he picks up 1 yard as we are going to flip ends of the field. It's going to be the second quarter. Your Otsego Knights leading Marion Pleasant 10-0 in the second round of the OHSAA playoffs.
Yeah, great first quarter of football here so far, 10-0. Still multiple ways that this game can go. I think Pleasant is just going to start finding their groove here against the Knights.
I think it's really interesting to see Marion coming out with 11 players stacked up on each other, really not hiding the fact that they just want to run the ball really, just power football is what they're looking at.
As we mentioned, only two throws last game, both by the running back, number 9, Austin Schaefer. And one of those throws came on a trick play. We are not sure about the other one, but one of them came on a handoff that was a jet sweep handoff that he stopped and then threw it to the back of the end zone to Aiden Casperson. So definitely with only 2 pass attempts, not wanting to run the ball much for the Spartans. And that's 2 pass attempts on, I believe it was like 72 plays on the game. So statistically, the chances that they want to throw the ball are next close to 0.
Yeah.
But we'll see how this progresses over the course of the game. We have not seen much ability to move the ball so far running the football. They only have 1 first down, which was off of a penalty. But we'll see how that progresses throughout the game here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because at some point I believe we're going to see some different looks from Marion as we continue this game tonight. They're going to I'm sure they have different, as we see more laundry being thrown onto the field. See what that was? It was, as it stands, about a 2-yard pickup on the left side, but this one is going against Marion, so they're going to see that erased.
Holding against the Spartans.
Yeah, that one is going to be holding against the Spartans, so actually pretty much cancels out the offsides that had happened earlier. It was going to bring up 3rd and short, but now it will be 2nd and long, assuming that this penalty is accepted by the Knights, which the officials are now walking that off.
I'm waiting to see if we will actually see something unique here soon from Pleasant, as we've continued to see these runs, these quick handoffs going left and right side. If we're going to see something interesting, some trickery, as we see Pleasant come out. We have one receiver to the near side of the field. Looks like that ball is handed off left side. And there are about 3 or 4 Knights that rally to that tackle. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 10.
Yeah, that handoff to the left side to Lambert. As we mentioned, they just like to run the ball, especially to their playmakers, which have so far been able to pick up extra yardage than I would say what is there. Most of the time they're either running through one arm tackle or they are able to fall forward. But at the same time, they're doing that to only a 2-3 yard gain. So the Knights so far have been able to get very good defensive line pressure into the backfield. As you mentioned, all 11 back in here again on 3rd and 10. There's a flag here on the near side official calling a offsides against Otsego. So somebody must have lined up offsides.
Although the ball was never even snapped yet.
Ball was not snapped yet, but if he had lined up completely offsides with no intention of moving back, official deemed that worthy of a 5-yard penalty. So all the penalties on this set of downs are negated.
A lot of action going on up and down the field, but all of which have been penalties. And we have another penalty.
Another offsides on the far side from the far side official. And our coaching staff seems very confused, as we are as well.
I think
we are not in line, so we can't see down the line like they are, but these officials seeming to be a lot tighter on the encroachment penalties than we've seen any other officials, which isn't a bad thing. As long as they're going to call it the same way all game, it's something that the Knights will have to adjust to.
Yeah,
but just interesting.
Yeah, for sure. We've already seen tonight, these officials aren't afraid to call penalties. So, as you had said, AJ, if they're going both ways with this and they stay consistent and we know what they're going to call, you respect that and you roll with it. Schaefer's able to reel off about 4 yards on that first down play.
Presumably, that's the play call that they had for the previous 3 plays before the 2 false start or offsides. But 2nd and 6, it looks like, for the Spartans.
And we have a 2nd and 6 with 10:20 here in the half. And as we continue to see, all 11 are bunched up. Handoff goes right side. And Schaefer is hit quickly for about 3 yards. Going to bring up a 3rd and 2 from Pleasant's 48-yard line, looking to bust into Knight territory for the first time in this game.
Yeah, 3rd and short is the position that they want to be in as a rushing team. It's kind of that old 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of offense. So far, they've been mirrored to 2 yards every attempt, but if they can start picking up 3 or 4 like they have so far in these last couple of plays, that's how you get drives going. And we've also seen a willingness for them to go for it on 4th down.
And we have two men in motion, so we're going to see a penalty from Pleasant for the illegal shift.
Yeah, we were just talking about 3rd and 3 is exactly where they want to be, and now they get a false start because both men started to move in motion. One of them moved in motion. The other one started to and then saw that the motion wasn't him and tried to stop, but not quick enough near side official threw the penalty. And like you said, lots of laundry here so far in the first half, and a lot of it pre-snap.
Yeah, a lot of pre-snap action going on tonight. See the motion man from Pleasant. That's Aiden Casperson. Looks like he is possibly going to pick up this first down. He went in motion into the backfield and was able to pick up almost what he needs there. It's going to bring up 4th down. I expect to see Pleasant go for
the official on this far side just changed his mind, decided to call first down. It appeared to me like he was short, but interesting. It was very close for sure, no matter what. So either way, it will be a first down. And that was also a very interesting play design. I don't know if you saw, but they motioned the man back into like a I formation type of thing, faked it to the fullback, and gave it to the second guy, Casperson.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, thinking how interesting of a play design that was, as we see that handoff again go to the right side to Schaefer, picks up about another 4 or 5 yards. So we've now seen some success from this Pleasant offense. They're starting to pick up and reel off 4 to 5 yards on these plays. They've busted into Knight territory for the first time in this game, and they're at the Knight's 46-yard line.
And that's usually what this type of offense can do, is either psychological, or you start to learn, hey, like this is how we have to block the way that they're playing this, or you wear them down. There's kind of multiple different ways that this eventually starts to work, but so far Pleasant able to pick up a couple good plays in a row. This one does only goes for 1 yard there to Schaefer again. So Schaefer very much a workhorse here. So far able to pick up a lot of yards. 3rd down and 4 with 8 minutes on the clock here in the second quarter. 3rd and 4 is not a bad position with this type of offense, especially in plus territory. They're probably going to go for 2 downs if they do not get it this first time.
Yeah, it seems historically, based on looking at these previous games this season from Pleasant, they're not afraid to go for it once they get into the opposition's territory. So this is likely 4 down territory for Pleasant. So they pick up about a yard on that play off to the right side. It's going to bring up at 4th and 3. So we'll see right here. Does Pleasant want to go for it, or are they going to kick this thing away?
Yeah, interesting to see what they will decide to call here. That play was kind of like the what we called 46 counter back in my day, but faked the sweep toss out to the left and handed it off to the guy underneath. Tried to get the counter play reverse running based on where the motion was, but the Knights all over it, only able to stop it for a 2-yard gain.
And as we assumed, here comes Pleasant. And a big 4th down, probably the biggest play of the game for him. And they go to Casperson, who gets free on the right side, inside the 20, the 10, and he is walking into the end zone untouched. And Pleasant is on the board with 6:48 left in this half.
Yeah, Pleasant with a great run out to the right. We are going to pull up the replay here. So you'll see that they ran their normal formation here, ran the ball out to the right, though, to Casperson. The opposite way that Schaefer was actually the lead blocker there, just waited patiently, got a couple big blocks, and then was able to get up the field and score the touchdown. So that's going to put 6 points on the board there.
Yeah, and just like that, Pleasant looked to be struggling in this first half to move the chains and pick up yards. That drive, they take it all the way down the field, and on a big play, they score the touchdown, and the Knights are able to get in there on the PAT. Mason Gonzalez. Michael. Excuse me, sorry. Michael Gonzalez gets in there and blocks that PAT attempt.
Yeah, Schaefer also their kicker, and that PAT attempt is blocked, which could prove to be huge, but great pressure there by the Knights. We've seen multiple special teams blocks by them, mostly on punts this season, but we've also seen a PAT block, and there's another big one right there. So that keeps this at a 4-point game with 6:48 remaining in the second quarter. And the Knights will receive here and attempt to go down and put more points on the board. So far, they've been able to put points up every possession, and they have the lead. So that's what you need to do, is just keep scoring points. And with that field goal block, or extra point block, even a field goal would make it a 1-touchdown, 7-point game.
Yeah, so those of you that are just tuning in to join us on Otsego TV, we've had a great game so far. We have 6:48 remaining in the first half. The Knights started out with Trent Leiter on a big run, who took it in to get the first score of the night, brought the Knights up to 7-0, and then a drive or two later, the Knights took it back down the field. They were stopped on a 3rd and goal opportunity, kicked a field goal, and just now we saw a big run from Pleasant's Aiden Casperson, who ran at about 40 yards for a touchdown, and we have a 10-6 game after the ensuing PAT was blocked. And we see a big return from the Knights.
Yeah, Devin Kuhn able to come out the left side, was able to pick up a couple blocks and get the ball out to the 40-yard line. So a good return for the Knights, good starting field position with 6:42 here left in the second quarter.
And we will see if Joseph Jerwa, the junior, can bring his offense back out and respond to the big drive that Pleasant just had. Joseph will line up in shotgun. Man in motion is Chase Hellberg, goes to the right side. Hand up, hand off up the middle, goes to Leiter.
Knights tried to fake the toss sweep to Kuhn, but I don't think anybody bid on it, and they stayed inside and was able to corral Leiter for a 0-yard gain.
So we'll have a 2nd and 10 for Otsego. Going to see trips to the far side of the field. Jarwal looks over the middle and connects with his tight end, Chase Hellberg.
Chase Hellberg again over the middle of the field. That's kind of his location, his place to eat. And so far he's been able to make 2 big catches this game as well as seam routes all year. And a quick first down play as we've seen all year. Quick pitch out here to Leiter to the left. Able to pick up a little bit of a block from Noah. Goes out of bounds for an 8-yard gain, it looks like. Maybe 9 yards.
Yeah, great run off to the left side by Leiter, and we go quickly back to the line. Something I've noticed tonight is Pleasant is playing very close to the line of scrimmage. Keep an eye out on the near side of the screen is Noah Jerwa on press coverage with no help as they line up. It looks like potentially no help over the top.
Yeah, you can see it there at the bottom of your screen. That DB is not looking at the quarterback. This is the type of thing where you give a little shimmy to the inside and can get deep. Maybe not on this play, but it's something that we might see at some point tonight, as that play is a slant route to the far side, just incomplete to Ryan Gray.
It's going to bring up a 3rd and 1 for Otsego. Looks like they're going to bring in a heavier package for this 3rd down attempt. Might be the first time tonight we've seen Elijah Roberts. Usually he's coming in when we're going to be throwing a fullback into the formation. So we'll see if... Oh, it's going to be that Wildcat formation that we saw earlier.
Wildcat formation picked up a couple blocks right there. Able to pick up the first down.
Looks like on the far side of the screen, Joseph Jerwa had a pancake block.
I was just about to mention that. I don't know if I don't know what happened over there, but quarterback Joseph Jerwa either had a pancake block or got blocked and was on the ground. Either way, 1st and 10 for the Knights at the 34-yard line of the Spartans. Michael Gonzalez in the backfield here on this play.
And we see trips to the far side of the field. Jerwal looks left side and it actually hit the DB of Marion Pleasant, Caden Ralston, right in the back.
Yeah, we mentioned that Ralston's not really looking at the quarterback, and that play the ball hits him right in the back. And I think that one just slipped a little bit away from Joseph, or he expected one more yard or two before the break on the route. But brings up 2nd and 10 for the Knights.
It's going to be a 2nd and 10 from the 35-yard line of Pleasant. And we see a false start from Otsego. A lot of pre-game or pre-snap penalties all night, just in the first half alone. We'll see if both teams are able to clean that up as we come out to the second half later this evening.
Yeah, lots of pre-snap penalties. Some of them were just the way that people were lining up. Some of them are obviously false starts and jumpings, things like that. But any way that you can pick up 5 yards or make the other team lose 5 yards is what you're going to try to do. But very interesting coming from an Otsego team that has not been heavily penalized this year, usually only 5 or 6 penalties per game.
Yeah, they definitely probably have that already tonight as we see Leiter go left side, able to pick up about 5 yards on that carry. It's going to bring up a 3rd and long, about 9 yards.
We'll see what Otsego decides to do here, but we've seen multiple times this year that the kicker, Devin Kuhn, has a very strong leg and could potentially kick it, picking up just a couple more yards here. I think we're still a little bit far out. If we can get close to the first down, or if Otsego can get close to the first down, we are right there. But
yeah, Otsego very successful on 3rd down this season. They're completing over half of their 3rd down attempts. They're 52% on the season, and it looks like he might have been tripped up, the receiver. And it's almost wild to me, AJ, out of all the penalties we've seen all night, that seemed to be the most obvious one to me. Timko was tripped in the secondary. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but that's a tough one to not call in my mind.
Yeah, I could not tell for sure. I know that Timko was tripped up, but it could have just been a tangling of the legs. Maybe the official had a better view on it than I did, trying to survey the whole field. But so far, the Spartans seem to be scrambling sometimes to the line of scrimmage. They don't know where to send their 2 nickel backers or to get out to cover the receivers sometimes, or are late getting over there. And the Knights tried to exploit it, but that pass just was not able to work. And this time, Otsego is going to call their 2nd time out of the game here with 4:51 remaining here in the 2nd quarter.
Yeah, based on what we've seen so far when the Knights are lining up, it does seem to be that Pleasant is not afraid to play some press man coverage.
Yeah, Pleasant definitely showing a lot of press man coverage. It seems like they usually have 1 or 2 safeties up there, but they're kind of like lined up in a cover 2 look with 2 high safeties. But then one of those safeties comes up hard to cover a guy man-to-man, and then the other one rolls to be kind of the high zone safety. So,
yeah, not a lot of success from what we've seen so far tonight around the numbers to the boundary, but it seems like the seams over the middle of the field have been what is open for Otsego.
Yeah, the middle of the field so far has been the place where Otsego's picked up the most yardage. Other than that, it's swing routes or things that are essentially like screen routes, and then running the football. And obviously from the Spartan side of the field, we've only seen them run the football.
Yeah, so coming out of the timeout, Otsego has a big 4th down. Jarwal looks middle, is able to complete it, but it looks like that one's going to be short. Pass completed to number 8, Devin Kuhn. But he did, in fact, come about 2 yards short of completing that 4th down attempt, and the ball is going to be turned over on downs, and it goes back to Aaron Cook's Spartan offense with a little bit of momentum. A lot of momentum.
Yeah, Spartan offense able to come down and score the touchdown their previous drive with only 4:56 remaining and 73 yards, or 73 yards to go there on the 27-yard line is where I started that phrase. So they have a long drive ahead of them if they want to get down the field and score.
Yeah, only about 3 yards on that carry
By Casperson, yeah.
As you mentioned, AJ, they got a long way to go, and being a running team, they're going to have to be able to get up to the line throughout this drive if they're going to be looking to score. As we had also said before in the broadcast, it doesn't appear that they have a strength in the kicking game, so anything they're going to be doing is looking to be getting into the end zone. One thing to keep in mind, too, is last week what we saw out of that timeout against Benjamin Logan, they were right around the 25-yard line. They called a timeout with about 40 seconds left in the half, and that is when they threw their one completion that AJ was talking about earlier. They handed it off to Austin Schaefer, who then dropped back and threw one down the field to Aiden Casperson, who caught the ball for a touchdown. So just something to keep in mind as we get closer to halftime here. As we see a quick 3rd down. It's going to be 3rd and 2.
Yeah, and to add to the time, both runs so far have been to the right, and that is the far way across the field for the quarterback, Grant Concert, to run over to the coach to get a play call. they're not signaling in their plays, so he has to run over to the coach. And we've already seen a minute tick off, 3:26 remaining here in the second quarter, and only about 15 yards so far with 62 to go for them to score. Obviously, you could pick up a chunk play on the ground game, but wondering if or when we will see the pass play.
Yeah, Pleasant has almost ditched a wide receiver altogether tonight. They've seen a lot of success in this look as we see.
Oh, balls on the football. Balls on the ground.
Hit in the backfield. Dropped that one. It looks like
I was just about to say Concert was open on his bootlegs to the backside. I wonder if he would have kept it. He did keep it that time. Ball got onto the ground, but it looks like the Spartans are able to fall onto it. But that is a big play for the Knights to come up with a 3-yard loss, especially when you're against a team that is not built for chunk yardage.
Yeah, that's a great notice that you've had earlier in this game is Concert's been open to take that bootleg and have an open look on the opposite side of the field throughout the night. He hadn't kept it yet.
And part of the reason that I noticed that is because this style of offense is what I played in JV and in high school. And I've kept a couple of those where I was able to keep it on the backside and break a couple big ones. You know, you only do it about once or twice a game. But usually you tell the coach, like, hey, there's nobody here on the backside. And I've been able to make a couple of those. And I saw them there for Concert on the backside. But I don't know if it was just that one play there. But the Knights able to see that he had the football and see the keep and ended up knocking the football out as well. So final timeout called for the Spartans with 2:38 remaining in the second quarter. It is 2nd and 12, and as you mentioned, one of their 2 throws last week was off of a timeout, and here's their 3rd timeout in a presumably passing type situation. So it'll be interesting to see if they call that. But otherwise, Knights, I would say, in a good position here with a 4-point lead and a long way to go here for a team that oftentimes does not want to pass the football.
Yeah, biggest moment for Pleasant tonight. Coming into a 2nd and long situation. They're out of timeouts after taking 2 early timeouts this half. So being down by 4 in a close game, coming off a big drive, they have an opportunity to score right before half. Otsego is going to come out with the ball for the second half, so doing something with it right here is going to be incredibly important for Pleasant. As we get that same look, man in motion, they're going to hand off left side. One great thing that Pleasant has done all night as well is falling forward. They're getting hit pretty quick at the line of scrimmage, but it seems that when they fall, they are falling for 2 or 3 yards at a time.
Yeah, Knights able to get pressure and get people into the backfield pretty often, I would say, or at least at the line of scrimmage. But the Spartans able to fall forward nearly every time, and this brings up a 3rd and 7. So a 3rd and long.
Yeah, biggest 3rd down of the night for Pleasant. Handoff up the middle, and it stopped instantly by that Knight defense. Great play by that defense.
And timeout is called here by the Knights, wanting to stop the clock with 1:58 remaining. It is 4th down now, so presumably the Spartans will punt. And the Knights want a little bit of clock left to try to score again, but going into the halftime. But I'm also seeing some of these plays here from Pleasant, and you wonder when their first pass will come. We've mentioned it's happened off of a trick play, but we've also mentioned that they have 11 guys in the box often, or sometimes 10 guys in the box. And so it's not necessarily the wingbacks or the receivers that you could see catching the ball. Sometimes in some cases it could be the linemen. You know, if they bring their tight end off to the left side, have 3 guys in the backfield and a wide receiver out to the left side, that end man on the line of scrimmage, the right tackle technically, is an eligible receiver. So you also have to be careful that the end man on the line of scrimmage could be the one that makes the first catch, makes the first play. But that's even assuming that there is a pass. We know that they don't want to pass necessarily. And if you don't have to, you don't have to. And so it could potentially be a game where we see 0 passes on the game for the Spartans.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as this game progresses and the story of it builds to see what kind of situation they're put in.
And we've seen the Knights block 2 punts the last week against Fostoria, going after it this time, not able to get there.
Although the punt did not get far, maybe feeling that pressure.
Feeling the pressure, having to get the ball lobbed up and over top of those rushers. So with 150 remaining here in the first half, the Knights will start their drive at the 39-yard line, attempting to put more points up onto the board. At least a field goal will make it a 1-touchdown game, and a touchdown will make it a 2-score game going into half. Yes. And the Knights will get the ball to start the second half.
Yeah, so just as it was the biggest drive offensively for Pleasant, it's going to be the biggest defensive drive for Pleasant. Now, this drive, depending on how it goes, could really put Pleasant in a bind. So we see Gerwal rolls right. A lot of level.
Throws a strike to Hellberg.
Hellberg with a great night so far. I believe he's got at least 3 or 4 catches. All of them for first downs, too.
Yeah, and sorry, I cut you off there. You were starting to mention a lot of levels on that play. There was one guy out into the flat, and then Hellberg was the middle guy, kind of 10 yards deep, and then we had another guy up over top 20 yards deep, trying to thin the defense out and then allow Jerwa to pick apart which level is the most open, especially when you're in a zone defense. You could pick the open area of the zone, and in a man defense, those guys are just running away from them.
Gerwa spreads this one out with an empty backfield. Looks left side wide open, just overthrows his man.
Just overthrown over Braden Timko's head there. But again, other than a couple throws here and there, most of the open ability has been in the middle of the field. It looks like Pleasant has a safety over top of their corners on the outside most of these times, which is kind of covering for that deep route that we had been talking about. While the corner isn't looking at the receiver, maybe their coach saw something, made some adjustments, but they oftentimes have a safety further towards the sideline and over top of that corner.
We started an empty look here, stays that way. Gerwa with, I believe that's a keeper the whole way. Shakes one, but it's brought down after a 3-yard gain, 2-yard gain, make that. It's going to bring up a 3rd and long. It's a 3rd and 8 situation for the Knights. 1:20 left in this half. No timeouts remaining.
I would have to envision, knowing that the Spartans do not want to throw the football, that this is 2-down territory. As you mentioned, the 1 minute, just over a minute left on the clock and counting on 3rd and 8.
Yeah, the Knights are going to have to hurry up for the rest of this half, depending on what they do here. They're looking left. There's a man there. And the pass is incomplete, a little bit low. Coverage was by number 20, Grant Concert. It was intended for Devin Kuhn, so it's going to bring up 4th down. Looks like the punt unit is coming onto the field, but not a lot of time left for Pleasant. If they stick to the game plan they've been doing, I'm not really sure how much they'll be able to do with the football.
And we saw a fake punt the previous week against Fostoria.
Yeah,
but Pleasant looks like they're in a normal type of defense, so they might be preparing for that.
Yeah, one bonus of having Joseph Gerwa also be your quarterback, as we see that ball just barely sneak into the end zone on the bounce.
There's a holding penalty against Otsego. Back right in front of Gerwa, the punter.
I don't think they're going to accept this.
I wouldn't envision so with Gerwa's punting ability, unless you can accept it at the end of the play, but I don't think so. So with 47.6 seconds remaining in the half, Pleasant will start their drive, presumably probably to just take it into halftime, unless they can break off a big run, which we saw earlier out of Casperson, was able to wait patiently, break a couple blocks, or wait for a couple blocks and get downfield and score the touchdown. So looking for a big run here again is Marion Pleasant.
Yeah, no real reason to go into halftime taking a knee here if you're Marion Pleasant. You may be dedicated to the run game, but it doesn't mean you can't at least try to break a big one off, because you've already done it once tonight.
It also is all coach preference, though, so they might decide to take a knee here. It is interesting here. It looks like they are allowing the holding to be tacked on to the end of the play, which I did not think is something that could happen.
Yeah, I don't believe that's, maybe it is a high school rule that I'm not aware of, but as far as I know, you can't accept a holding penalty to move up the touchback.
And it does look like Pleasant will take a knee here, so they're going to have to take one more at least to end the half.
Grant Coster takes a knee for the Spartans.
Yeah, been a hard-fought first half. It's been a great game so far. Otsego's leading Pleasant 10-6. And they're going to need this one a second time. And we are likely going to see these teams head off into halftime. AJ, that was an exciting first half. Two big runs are really the story of the game so far. But Marion Pleasant doing a great job of containing this Knight passing attack. And the Knights, on the flip side, doing a pretty good job of containing the rushing attack from Pleasant.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing right now is Pleasant defensively is able to, other than the one big lighter play, is able to hold Otsego to not really any big plays, any big down the field, game-breaking scoring plays, and able to make them have to try to chip it down the field. And then reverse side, Otsego really hasn't allowed Pleasant to get much going other than the touchdown run that they had, and then was able to block the extra point. So very defensive-heavy game, I would say, here so far. Otsego would have liked to have more points on the board from their previous few drives. But Pleasant hasn't really been able to get much going offensively aside from a couple penalty calls. But that is the end of the first half. As we mentioned, the score 10-6. Otsego is up. And any final thoughts here before we turn it over for the band?
It's just been an incredible game. It's been hard fought. A lot of strong football being played. You can tell both teams have come ready to play tonight and trying to get that win. It's incredible second round action that we've seen. So make sure you stay with us on Otsego TV. We will be back to bring you the second half. Thanks for tuning in to this amazing evening in Tontogany, Ohio. And we'll be back shortly to bring you this second half action of this football game. And in the meantime, enjoy the Otsego High School Marching Band.
'20 Otsego High School Marching Band, under the direction of Mr. Rich Dubler and led on the field by Senior Drum Major Josie Adams and Junior Drum Major Sedona Head. Tonight's halftime show contains the following musical selections: the 1970 hit single from the band Chicago, 250624, the Beach Boys smash hit from 1964, Fun, 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 and the 1979 smash hit by Freddie Mercury and Queen, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Ladies and gentlemen, the Otsego High School Marching Band, under the direction of Mr. Rich Dubler, with assistance from Janet Berg, Ray Novak, and Nick Crable. Let's hear it one more time for the 2020 Otsego High School Marching Band.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, here to Otsego TV in Tontogany, Ohio, where your Otsego Knights are playing their second round matchup in these OHSAA football playoffs against Marion Pleasant. And so far, this game's been intense. It's a 10-6 ball game. Otsego coming out of the half, they're going to receive to start off with. It's, as we said, it's been a hard-fought game. It's been a fun game to watch, and we'll see what kind of adjustments these coaches have made. Some interesting looks from both Aaron Cook from Pleasant and also from Coach Matt Gerwal from Otsego. AJ, what do you expect to see out of these two teams coming out of the half?
Yeah, so I think the most interesting thing for sure is if Pleasant will throw the football. As we've mentioned multiple times, they only threw it twice last week against Benjamin Logan. They were also at an equal score to Logan nearly the entire game until the fourth quarter. And one of their two throws came on a trick play off of a timeout. So one of the key questions is, when do they throw it and does it work? I would say the other key question too is for Otsego is, when do you kind of start relying on the running game? I feel like we've been a little bit pass heavy, which we do have a good passing offense. The Knights have been successful through the air this year, but Leiter's also been very solid on the ground. And at what point do you start to run the football, try to take up some clock, and start to maybe play like, hey, we're going to get 4 yards here, we're going to get 5 yards here, whatever you have to do to potentially get a drive going. So this first drive here, kickoff and ensuing first drive of the second half, will be very big. If you are Otsego, you want to score and potentially make it a 2-score game or at least a touchdown game with a field goal. And if you are Pleasant and the Spartans, you are looking to make a stop so that you can take the ball down and score and take the lead, especially as a running powered offense team. You want to have the lead or play at an equal standing. If you can stay within one touchdown, you're kind of right where you need to be. Once you kind of get 2 touchdowns or 2 scores or further, as a non-passing heavy team, that's kind of not where you want to be. So it'll be interesting to see which coach changes up their looks, which coach rolls the dice first, whether that be a 4th down fake or the pass or anything else that could happen. But we're in here for a second half of playoff football here in Tontogany, Ohio.
Yeah, the wind has picked up as we get ready for this second half. We were taking a walk outside at halftime, and it is definitely very windy. You can hear it howling. The capacity is down on attendance, but the playoff atmosphere is very present, as this opening kickoff has been taken all the way to about the 50-yard line, almost to midfield. The Knights take that opening half kickoff.
And that might be a statement kind of return there from Trent Leiter. I just mentioned, when do we start to give him the ball a little bit more? He had averaged 8 yards per carry over the course of the regular season, and that time takes the kick return almost 40-plus yard return out to the 48-yard line, and that is great field position here for the Knights to start the second half.
Yeah, as we see that fantastic return brought almost to midfield, Matt Gerwal will send his offense back out to start up this second half. Hands it off to Leiter. Falls forward for about 4 yards.
As we mentioned, from the Spartan side of things, 3 yards in a cloud of dust is really all you need to continue to pick up first downs and keep drives going. And this time, first play of the second half, as I hand off to Leiter, picks up 3 or 4.
So the Knights are going to come out with that Wildcat offense that we've seen a few times. It's actually Leiter that took the snap that time, and he runs over the safety. Looks like the Otsego coaching staff is unhappy with something on that play. I know Joseph Gerwa ended up on the ground on that play. I didn't see what had happened. But regardless, we did get a first down on that run by Trent Leiter.
Yeah, so 2 kind of things happened on that play. First of all, the Wildcat run to Leiter ran over the safety, picked up a big first down there. So 2 carries for Leiter to start off with nearly 11 yards. But on the near side, Gerwa, because of the Wildcat, comes out as like the wide receiver. And it looked like he might have had a little bit of a cheap shot type of shove to him. and the coaches were not happy about that. But either way, 1st and 10, hands it off to Leiter up to the left side, tries to get the edge, able to get the edge on one guy, runs over the corner, and that is 2 truck sticks in a row up on the right thumbstick.
And that's not even including the opening half kickoff that he took out to the 50, where he dragged about 5 Spartans on his back, and quickly Jerwa brings the offense up to the line, and they're in an I formation this time. AJ, you said maybe those adjustments are, does Otsego run this ball and run it right at him? And so far they have. As we see another run get kicked outside, that's actually Gonzalez that time. A little bit of space on the edge for Otsego early in this half.
Yeah, some great blocking early on. And like you said, Otsego wanting to run the football here in the second half, definitely the priority. Also playing with a lot of pace. We're seeing the Spartans kind of scramble around to see where they need to be. They just went I form. Now they're 4 wide. Toss play to Leiter off to the left.
Another outside run play that Leiter finds space. He dove, but I think he's down at about the 2. Can you feel the playoff atmosphere?
I definitely can feel it right here. He dove for the end zone, but he dove across the 5-yard line, not across the end zone. But luckily was able to keep control of the football as the Knights hurry up to the line of scrimmage. I formation again. Changing of formations.
And this handoff. They go left side again. He is met that time in the backfield. Looks like he's brought down for about a 2-yard loss. It's going to bring up a 2nd and goal from the 7-yard line. The Knights have driven down the field after starting just short of midfield. We're only 2 minutes into the half. This is the first time the Knights have huddled up on this drive since the first play or two. And the junior, Joseph Giroir, is going to come out under center again, quickly to the line out of the huddle. Man in motion is Chase Hellberg. They pitch to the right side. A little bit of space. Leiter jumps a tackler and goes into the end zone for a quick touchdown for Otsego. That's going to put them up 16-6. Quick in this second half.
Yeah, very quick touchdown, quick drive there for the Knights. We are going to pull up the replay, as you can see right here, but I want to mention number 41, Chase Hellberg. The man in motion gets a great kickoff block, and then Leiter cuts up underneath of it. So you'll see 41's the wingback, comes in motion there. That's Hellberg. He gets the kick out block. Leiter cuts up underneath it, and that is also the fullback. I could not tell the number. Looked to me to be Nate Trevino, number 25, also got a great block in the end zone. So Leiter able to get the touchdown. Sorry, we missed the extra point, but it is good. And that brings up a 17-6 score for the Knights.
That is about as good as you can do it coming out of halftime. Nice quick score, and it was a dominant drive. So now Aaron Cook, head coach for Marion Pleasant, going to send out his offense, led by number 9, Austin Schaefer, the senior that's been in the backfield today. They're going to see if they can respond. It's going to be a huge drive to see what kind of answer they can provide after that drive.
Yeah, that is definitely the type of statement drive that you needed to start the second half. Started with the return from Leiter, and then that return was like, hey, give me the ball. I can do this. And ran over, I think, 3 people over the course of that drive, as well as a couple great cuts, great runs. And the Knights put the ball onto their linemen to create the great blocking, great holes, as well as the fullbacks and tight ends there that had the great blocks. And overall, able to drive down the field 60 yards and score, and it's 17-6 and 2-score ball game.
Yeah, I'm sure that offensive line was chomping at the bit to start moving forward down the field and knocking some people over. And the kick is away. And that one landed in the end zone for a touchback. Good kick by Winnagel. This special teams unit from Otsego has been fantastic all year. We've already seen a blocked PAT early in this game, and the kickoff unit has been spectacular as well, even on one of the kickoffs tonight, pinning Pleasant inside of their own 10-yard line to start a drive.
Yeah, and as they're moving right to left across your screen, that is the tailwind here, and the wind also picked up, so that made that kick go a little bit extra far. But the Spartans here are lining up.
A power formation that goes for about 5 on first down. I think they had 3 down running backs in that formation.
There are so many bodies in there that we could not tell who ran the ball at first until they get up. But then also one of the Knights came away with the football, but the officials are calling down, and inside those piles, you never know what happens. Whether that ball was out before he was on the ground, while he was on the ground, while he was getting up from the ground, you have no idea inside those piles. So official call him down, and 2nd and 6.
As we see all 11 men down in the 3-point stance for Pleasant as they pick up a huge gain straight up the middle on that 2nd down play. It brings them to their own 48. First down, Marion Pleasant.
Yeah, that was Austin Schaefer, their big playmaker. 43 carries last week against Benjamin Logan. This time takes one right up the middle. A quick hitting dive. Not really enough time to see who has the ball, who might have the ball. Was a big play there.
So quickly, early in the second half, this is the formation we've seen from Pleasant that they've come out in. Not really any motion. Now they're just going three backs behind the quarterback, all lined up.
Yeah, that play went for no gain, though. 2nd and 10, just about at midfield.
Trevino able to make the stop there.
Spartans have been in Otsego territory once today so far, and that resulted in a touchdown to get these 6 points on the board for them.
That handoff goes to Casperson, who's hit about 3 yards down the field. It's going to bring up a 3rd and long situation for Pleasant. You can hear the wind howling now just outside of our booth.
Yeah, and wind at the head of the Spartans here on this drive. Probably makes throwing chances even less likely.
Man in motion, going to the near side of the field. That one's handed off to Schaefer, and he's hit immediately in the backfield. That Knights defensive front broke through quickly.
That is number 65, Cade Limes. Dove in, was able to wrap up Schaefer by the ankles and make the tackle. A couple other Knights got there to help out. In the end, ended up being a 1-yard loss. 4th and 8.
We're going to see a punt formation from the Spartans. Schaefer back to kick. Noah Giroir set to return. Little movement up front. They might catch Otsego with an offsides here. And now that brings into question, that's something that Pleasant's definitely looking to do.
I think you go for it now.
Yeah, that was definitely a planned thing. I'm sure they wanted to see if they could get Otsego to jump there. And now they're going to take their chances. They're inside Otsego territory, only about 3 yards that they need to pick up here for the first down.
So this now becomes a big 4th down play after what was a stop and a presumed punt. We don't know if they would have tried to fake it or anything. They get the 5-yard penalty, and now Pleasant's going to go for it. All they need is 3 yards, and this first down marker is right in line with where we are sitting here in the press box.
Yeah, great view of this of the trenches on this play as they go power right up the middle to the fullback, and they're pushing. It's going to be close.
They push the pile. It depends on where the ball is at the bottom of the pile, but it appears to be short based on where they're currently standing. No signal yet. Otsego's celebrating. I think the officials might bring in a measurement, but sitting where we are right now, it looks like it's a first down for the Knights, and it is. They make the signal now. That was a big 4th down stop. I'm going to click the replay button here. Yeah, we're only able to see the end of the pile there, so apologies for that.
Yeah, great stop by that defense. Huge stop early in the second half. Trying to continue to build this momentum. Otsego's going to come out in the gun. Handoff is to Leiter. Finds another space. He breaks a tackle. He's going over the middle of the field. No one's going to catch this man. He's going to go in for another touchdown.
Leiter taking the Knights' hopes onto his back here in the second half. This time I will hit the replay button and we'll watch this one again, but two great moves by Leiter here to score the touchdown for the Knights. We'll see just a straight handoff right up the middle. untouched until about a 7-yard gain, and then able to make 2 juke moves in a row and then outrun the competition. That is sprinter speed from Leiter to be able to put up 6 more points on the board for the Knights.
Yeah, he is a power runner, but he also has that top gear to just run away from the defense in the open field, and that's exactly what he did. And with 6:12 left in the third quarter, the score is going to be 24-6 Otsego after 2 quick touchdowns early in this half.
This was the type of second half that the Knights definitely want. And the opposite is said for the Spartans. That is the start of the second half that they did not want. But we mentioned at halftime, I think the Knights, the 2 biggest questions were, when is Pleasant going to throw? And you have to think that answer will be soon, being down 24-6. And then the second question is, when will the Knights start to rely on the run? And that answer is now, as the Knights have just put 2 drives together pretty much on the backs of Leiter and Gonzalez, and the blocking scheme. I mean, that's the biggest thing here, is that they had big holes that were there to run through, and the offensive line did a great job. Fullbacks, tight ends, everybody contributing. You know, Leiter is the one who carries the ball across the end zone, but he's carrying the rest of the team with him, who blocked for him. So everybody for the Knights, all 11 on the field, a part of that touchdown.
Right, and even an extension of that, going back to that 4th down stop, the Otsego front being able to stop them and being able to get that opportunity, as we see a great kickoff from special teams. Windnagel with a coffin corner kick on the kickoff, and that's brought back to about the 15-yard line. So another great special teams play.
Yeah, an interesting decision to grab that and return it by Curran. Probably at this point just looking to make some sort of play for the Spartans. Picked up the ball at the 1-yard line. It was going to go out the end zone. It was towards the corner, but it was going to go into the end zone. But Curran decided to pick it up and not able to really get anywhere. Number 53, Kenneth Aranda for the Knights, was able to make a big hit, big stop. 1st and 15 now from the 1st and 10 from the 15. I messed up my numbers.
As we see Grant under center. Hands that one off, goes straight up the middle with Schaefer. He reels off about 10 yards quickly right there. It's going to be a 1st down. Yeah, and another thing you mentioned, AJ, is are we going to see this passing offense come alive here from the Spartans? Because another thing you got to keep thinking about is not only are you going to be working against this Knights defense, but you're going to start working against the clock.
Yeah, I mean, it's at some point, you know, all these runs that they have, unless they can break a couple big ones, they have been able to get 5 yards here in the previous 2 plays now after that one. But at some point, you either need really big ones, or you're going to need to be able to throw the ball or things of that nature, or just score every possession and then play good defense. But at this point, the clock's going to be running based on the way that they run their offense. You can definitely tell, though, that they have a hurried way about it right now. They're getting out of the huddle, in and out of the huddle much faster than they were in the first half. Basically, their up-tempo offense.
Yeah, as we see Schaefer take that handoff and goes for about 2 yards. It's going to bring up another 3rd down for Pleasant. It's a 3rd and 2. Already down to 4:45 remaining in this 3rd quarter.
Yeah, 3rd and 2, and you have to think with the score what it is, that this is definitely 2-down territory.
And we see Consa under center. 3 running backs behind him. It's going to be handed off for a big gain. And they bust it loose. Pleasant's going down the sideline, almost slides under that Knights defender. And that's number 4, Joshua Lambert, with a big run. Just what we were saying just a few minutes ago is this is what they're going to have to rely on. You might be able to chip away 3-4 yards, but you have to have these type of carries.
Yeah, at this point you have to have big run carries, but as I've mentioned before, this type of offense is one that lends itself to getting bigger and bigger carries as the games go on. It's not one that you want to play from behind, which they are in that situation, but it lends itself to bigger and bigger carries as the game goes on. So we'll have to see If they can continue getting that, they can keep it on the ground. But the other question is, when do they throw it? It was about this point of the field when they threw their touchdown pass last week. But they, as I've mentioned, they definitely have a more hurried type of feel to it. They're up at the line of scrimmage right now with 25 seconds on the play clock, as opposed to they were probably about 15 earlier in the game.
Yeah, definitely getting in and out of the huddle very quickly. As we see that handoff go to Schaefer. The ball is on the ground and it's recovered by the Knights. Critical mistake for Pleasant after that huge run, but the Knights are able to force a fumble and come away with the recovery, and that is huge.
Yeah, Michael Gonzalez able to come away with the ball. We're pulling up the replay right here, but a quick handoff to Schaefer, and then a couple Knights just got there and made a hit. The way he got hit knocked the ball out. Jarring hit from the linebacker, but the Knights able to come away with it.
Yeah, great play defensively from Otsego, and right now it appears as if they have all the momentum. So the Knights will start this drive inside of their 15. That's a good run to the right side. It's Trent Leiter. A lot of success around the outside in this running game.
Yeah, Leiter, it seems like to me it's like it's a at the tackle type of handoff, and then Leiter is able to decide whether he wants to cut up or out. But it's been open kind of both ways, at least to pick up 5 or 6 yards here so far to start the second half. Able to break it into bigger ones so far.
The Knights have a 2nd and 3 from the 20. Right back to the ground game they go. It's a handoff up the middle. And Leiter is hit at the line of scrimmage and brought down quickly for no gain. Going to bring up a 3rd down and 3.
And a part of the ability for Pleasant to make 2 somewhat stops here, those last 2 plays, is they actually added another linebacker, or at least brought one of their corners more in, and they're playing more man coverage on the outside. It seemed like they tightened up their defense to be able to stop the run after that previous drive. But now the Knights come into a passing type of package.
They have nobody deep. Oh, it's handed off. Once again, hit at the line of scrimmage. And Trent Leiter is brought down quickly for no gain. It's going to be 4th down.
Yeah, it was a draw play. They tried to essentially fake a jet sweep and fake a screen out here to the left, and then ran the draw play to Leiter in the middle. But looks like the Knights are going to set up to punt here on 4th and 2, 4th and 3 from their own 22. The wind is really howling here. I don't know if it can be picked up through the mics to you guys at home, but wind is definitely picking up here at home, or here at Tintagony, Ohio, as the snap is back. Jerwa's kick is a boomer with the tailwind. This ball is going to roll down to the 15-yard line.
Fantastic punt by Joseph Jerwa. The return man didn't even bother to try to pedal backwards to go get that thing. Just let it go, and he has been able to put Pleasant inside of their own 20-yard line.
Based on the line of scrimmage, that is a 63-yard punt, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, this wind is howling, so he had a little bit of that tailwind to help out as well, but that is a 63-yard punt. Based on the line of scrimmage, let alone the fact that where he punted it at, it is at least a 75-yard punt. So a fantastic punt by Jerwa. As I've mentioned, his dad, Matt Jerwa, was a punter at Northwestern back in his day, who is also the head coach.
Pleasant hands that one off. Going right side. Able to push forward for about 2 yards.
Number 10, Aiden Casperson on the carry.
That is Casperson on the carry.
2nd down and 8 for the Spartans.
Getting into crunch time for the Spartan offense. Going to have to continue to make stops defensively and then come out and show some life here in the second half offensively. They've had that big run, so it is there. It is the potential for those big gains is there, and AJ has mentioned that this kind of offense is built to be able to just wear you down defensively as the game goes on. Another handoff.
This one on the backside looks like to Casperson, able to make one man miss. Pickups about 4 yards. 25 seconds remaining here, though, in the third quarter, 24-6 game. That is a 18-point game.
Yes, sir. It's been a very quick third quarter. The run game has been dominant from both sides in this third quarter. It's been pretty much all the ground game for both sides, and it looks like they're going to take this one into the fourth quarter. We're going to flip sides of the field.
Yeah, so this switching into the fourth quarter is when Pleasant would have the wind at their backs. And being down 18 points, you wonder when they will throw, as we've mentioned, kind of all game. Who knows if it even will happen. But down 18 points, that's 3-possession game here.
Yeah, not to continue to drill that into people's heads, as I know we continue to mention that, but it's a question that needs to be continued to be asked, because if you seriously want to go in and try to attempt to win this game, just staying on the ground at this point is not going to work as an offense.
Yeah, and of all the times to do it with the tailwind, now is for sure the time, because so far, other than 2 big plays, I would say their offense hasn't really done very much. You need a little bit more going for you, especially if you're going to try to get up more than 24 points on the board to win this football game. Because even if you play great defensively, you got to score 18 more points. And so far, through 3 quarters, only 6 of which have been scored, all on the ground so far. And this is a 3rd and 4 here, so regardless, you need to pick up this first down in order to keep the drive going.
Yeah, I think at this point in the game, I know they're inside of their own 25-yard line, but if they fail to pick this up, I feel like you go for it on 4th down. It's tough to get. I feel like it could be tough to get 3 possessions.
At this point of the game, I think you would need to go for it on 4th down. It's going to be a toss play here to number 4, Joshua Lambert. Looks like he will just get the first down.
Lambert picks up that first down for Pleasant. Great job from the Spartan offense, as I've mentioned earlier, at running forward and just being able to look for the contact when it's there and trying to run overnight defenders and get those few extra yards, especially in this type of offense. It's incredibly important to be able to pick up every yard that you can in this power offense.
Yeah, I don't think the blocking has been there quite as well for the Spartans as it has for the Knights, but the Spartan runners are always able to fall forward for an additional yard or 2, which is kind of one of the crucial aspects of this offense, because if you don't get that, you're not getting enough to move forward.
Schaefer a little shaken up on that play, but he is back on his feet and ready to go. It's going to be a 2nd and 7 for Pleasant from their 29-yard line. Ball goes to Casperson for about another 3-yard pickup. Going to be another 3rd down for the Spartans. This one is going to be a 3rd and 5.
At this point, the clock's just taken away. There's currently 10:30 remaining in the 4th quarter, and you need at least 3 types of scores to be able to come back into this game. And currently at this rate, I don't know if that'll happen for them. They fake the handoff. Here's their pass play. Try to go deep over the middle, just over the head of number 10, Aiden Casperson.
Yeah, that one looked to be thrown into double coverage. Casperson looking for a flag. Does not get it.
Yeah, that one, I think the wind helped to carry it a little bit further than he expected. Sailed a little bit over the head of Casperson. But there was the pass play. We've talked about it all game. Here it is in the 4th quarter. Once they get the tailwind, now they're lined up to punt. And Schaefer is their punter, who has also thrown passes in other games as well. So you wonder if they could try to fake it here.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on. He does fumble the snap. He tries to run it now. And he's tripped up. Another great special teams play from the Knights. Although I know that snap was bobbled.
That snap was bobbled. Schaefer was able to pick it up. I don't know if he was trying to run it, throw it, kick it, what happened, but we're going to click the replay here. But a great tackle by Elijah Roberts in the backfield to be able to keep that one. It looks to me like that's just supposed to be a punt, and a low snap, but a dropped snap. Was able to pick it back up and at least not let the Knights pick it up and run into the end zone. But either way, another, again, like you said, special teams play here for the Knights that has gone successfully, and they're going to start 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line.
Quick pitch to the left side to Leiter, and he's tripped up in the backfield for a 2-yard loss. Spartans are going to need something big defensively. Probably going to try to be looking to create a turnover somewhere on this drive. It's going to be a key at some point, I think, at this stage in the game. Not only is this offense going to have to score, but if the Knights have the ball, Pleasant's going to have to force Otsego into a mistake.
Yeah, and that type of tackle for a loss there from Lambert is a good drive starter for Pleasant to be able to force a negative yardage play.
Giroir in shotgun, bunch formation. Snap is fumbled. Another negative play for the Knights. That one was picked up by Leiter. Able to run for a few yards after recovering the fumble, but it still is a loss of about 2. It's going to bring up a 3rd and long. It is 3rd and 14. Probably a little bit of this ball's probably outside of Kuhn's range, I would imagine.
Especially with the wind as it is right now. I'd say this is for sure outside of the range. If you can get it down close to the line to gain, I think it's potentially within kicking range. There's going to be an official timeout. No, a timeout on the far side by Pleasant. Interesting timeout call, potentially to just stop the clock and maybe reset how they want to run this play. But either way, like you were mentioning, I think you can think about a field goal here, but I think ultimately, you want to run the football, especially into this headwind. I think you want to run the football, run some clock out, even though it might only be 30 seconds. With the type of offense that they need to run, 30 more seconds is a lot of time. I mean, that's nearly two plays, which so far for Pleasant has been like 2 plays is 5 yards or 10 yards worth, 5 yards a play. And so we'll see what the Knights decide to do. You never know what Jerwa and the rest of the coaching staff have up their sleeve. If there's a fancy way that they want to run the football, especially coming out of a timeout here. But with 9:10 remaining here in the 4th quarter at an 18-point ball game, this is kind of an interesting place of the field as to what you decide to do. Because the other thought is, too, here, do you run it thinking, hey, I might be able to pick up 5-6 yards, and then run it again thinking they'll be pinned within the 20 if we don't get it? Do you go as a four down territory?
Yeah, I think where they're at on the field, it's really not a bad move to just try to run the ball again. I mean, if you miss the field goal, which it's going to be very difficult in this windy situation, these strong winds coming straight into his head, if you miss that field goal and Pleasant takes over at the 30.
So I don't mean to interject your train of thought here, but it appears that the officials on the far side were getting a talking to from Pleasant's coaches and have now pulled out the rule book. I do not know what rule they're looking at or any of that sort of nature, but they ran away, grabbed some sort of piece of paper or book or something and ran back and are now talking to the Pleasant coaches. So we don't know what will happen or might happen here, but I just noticed that one of the officials left and came back with something papery.
Yeah, great catch, AJ. This has been an odd situation, and maybe this is why the timeout was called. Maybe Aaron Cook, head coach of Marion Pleasant, has come up with something or noticed something in this game.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what it is. The only thing that we know is that the snap was fumbled, presumably either bounced off of somebody or something of that nature. But the snap was fumbled, but Leiter was able to pick it up and pick up yards. So I don't know if maybe because the snap bounced off of him and went forward, if they count that as a pass, or honestly, at this point, we are pure speculating. But you can see there at the top of your screen, that official in the top left is looking at paper, and they're trying to decide something. I don't know what the ruling is. We do not have a rule book up here as well, but
probably having a very difficult time trying to read out there as the wind is probably about to rip that book out of his hand. It is howling, folks. It is a very windy night. Wish you could see the flags that we have.
Wind is moving on your screen essentially from right to left, slightly towards the Otsego sideline on this near side. So a little bit angled, but mostly just straight across the field right to left.
The officials are still over talking with Coach Cook, and it looks like they might finally be wrapping it up, so we'll see what's going on here. If you're just tuning in on Otsego TV, thanks for joining us for the second round playoff action between the visiting Marion Pleasant Spartans and your home Otsego Knights. It's a 24-6 ball game. And as I said, if you're just joining us, it's an interesting situation that AJ and I also have no clue as to what's happening. We've been standing around now for the better part of probably 5 minutes, and this all started on a 2nd down and 12 play where Otsego fumbled the snap out of shotgun. Trent Leiter picked up the fumble, ran about 2 yards, and was taken down. At that point, Coach Cook from Marion Pleasant called a timeout, and since then, the officials have been talking mostly with Coach Cook and had a rule book out. And it now looks like we might be getting close to a decision. We're still waiting. AJ was out looking to see if he could gather some more information, so he's back now.
So I went on an information hunt. Did not come away with a lot conclusive, but a better guess that maybe Coach Aaron Cook was saying that you cannot advance a fumble potentially, but that is only a 3-yard difference. So I'm not sure what they ended up deciding to do. But either way, 3rd and 15 here for the Knights. They're going to run a trick play here. Philly special. That is
Hellberg.
Noah Jerwer to Chase Hellberg, who carries the ball down to the 3-yard line. But that is the quarterback, Joseph Jerwa's brother, Noah Jerwa, with the pass there. And after all that time, that Aaron Cook was debating about whatever he was debating about, the Knights end up with a big play.
I was wondering, too, the situation that had occurred. I wondered if that was the case, but you essentially gave Otsego a 5-minute timeout to decide what they were going to do there. The handoff goes to Leiter, and he stumbles into the end zone. And there's another touchdown for Leiter in the second half. That puts Otsego up 30-6. 8:47 left in this ball game. So it's been honestly kind of a weird 6-7 minutes, because as we just talked about, AJ, what we were kind of speculating and wondering was, did he call the timeout to argue the 2-yard gain after the fumble recovery? And if that was the case, it is
it's mystifying.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can think of is mystifying. Obviously, we don't know if that's what he was arguing.
Right.
That's what other people in the press box here were speculating. But that kick by Devin Kuhn goes up and through, adds 1 more point to the board for the Knights, makes it 31-6. But yeah, regardless, we don't know what he was arguing. Whether what he was arguing is for 2 or 3 yards, for 30 seconds of clock, for the ball, because we don't know what the ruling is, or what was potentially in the rule book. Either way, a weird turn of events, because it would have been 3rd and 12, 15, somewhere in there, regardless, without the argument, without the timeout, whatever happened. And instead, the Knights used that time to dial up the Philly special, the Knight special version of that play. Brother Joseph Jerwa pitched it to his brother Noah Jerwa, who then threw it to Chase Hellberg. And Chase Hellberg has had a pretty solid game here today, receiving the football and puts it down to the 4-yard line, and then Leiter pounds it in.
Yeah, it's been a crazy second half. It's been a great second half for the Knights. And as AJ just ran through the series of events that have just occurred that wound up leading into a Knights touchdown, Pleasant's going to have to respond at this point. They have 8:40 left in this game, and I feel like from here on out it's going to be a 4-down situation for Aaron Cook's Spartan offense.
Yeah. At this point, you kind of have to go for it if you want to continue to have a chance in this game. But I'm sorry for the folks at home. We have no answer to what that long pause was for exactly in the rule book, and I don't know if we'll figure it out and can tell you guys hopefully next week if the Knights can close out this game. But regardless, that turn of events ended up, whatever they were arguing didn't end up happening because the ball was where it was before when we started that play, and it turned into a Knights touchdown. And the Spartans need to score quickly here. They're definitely lining up fast, but at this point, that is not a lot of time left. Currently, 8:22 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we have a 2nd and 6 situation. You know, 4 yards is a good run in most cases, but in this case, like we keep mentioning, you are going to have to go to this passing game if you want a real chance to come back in this ball game. They have one receiver to the near side of the field, and they run it. But that one is stopped for, looks to be a 1-yard loss, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down for Pleasant.
3rd down and 7 for Pleasant.
3rd and 7, 7:45 remaining in the fourth quarter in the game.
It's been a great game so far. This is the Knights' first game in the playoffs for the 2020 season, and they have looked spectacular in the second half.
This is the second pass of the game here.
Looking deep into double coverage. And that pass falls incomplete. Well covered by Noah Giroir on the outside.
I was trying to signal here in the press box, but that is number 1, Caden Ralston, who is out on the far side, and he's the one who has most of their receptions and yardage this year. But I think that's the first time we've seen him offensively on the field today so far. So I was trying to point it out, saying this is probably a pass play if he's out there.
Yeah, great observation there, AJ, as we see a 4th down because, yeah, number 1, Caden Ralston, he's been present in every game that I've seen from Pleasant. So obviously coming into this game with the game plan that they had is very unique for Otsego. Looks like Pleasant's looking to punt here. And they're sending it away. Fair cut by Giroir. And with 7:12 left in this ball game, junior Joseph Giroir is going to lead his offense back onto the field.
Yeah, 1st and 10 for the Knights from the 32-yard line, it looks like. And with 7:12 remaining in the fourth quarter and the 25-point lead, the Knights are probably going to look to run the ball and run this one out. In the second round of the playoffs, first game for the Knights in the playoffs.
Yeah, I feel like a big piece here is keeping everybody healthy and being effective on the ground to be able to run this clock out. As Leiter breaks a few tackles, goes back left side, finds a gap, goes up the middle. He's off to the races. No one's going to catch this man. And he goes in.
Trent Leiter.
Crazy run from Trent Leiter. We're going to go back and show that one to you guys. He broken play to the right side.
It was such a long play. We're clicking this as soon as we go. But Kevin, take us away.
No, Trent Leiter got the pitch to the right side, breaks 2 tackles from the Spartan defenders, and just sees a gap on the left and just takes off. And he's able to outrun number 20, Grant Conser of the Spartans for a touchdown. That was a wicked play.
That is a fantastic play. Wow. What a run by Trent Leiter. We were just saying they're probably going to run it to keep the clock moving, but instead they're going to score a touchdown.
Wow, that's...
Leiter putting the Knights on his back in the second half, as well as the blocking. We cannot overstate it enough. There's great blocking, but Leiter, that play definitely put on a couple moves, and that's kind of the dagger there.
Yeah, whatever Coach Giroir and his coaching staff did at halftime for their adjustments has clearly worked very well. They brought this team out very ready for the second half and have never looked back since they took that opening kickoff. If you're just joining us on Otsego TV, thanks for tuning in. It's been an incredible second half from the Otsego Knights. We went into halftime at 10-6. Immediately coming out of the half, the Knights have gone to the ground game and been very successful. Trent Leiter has been reeling off yards and huge runs, and I think he's had 3 touchdowns in the second half alone.
Yeah, Trent Leiter, like you said, I believe has 3 touchdown runs, 2 of them really long, one of them a 2-yard run on the goal line. But he has to have 150-plus yards this half, and that doesn't even count the 40-yard return that he had to open up the second half.
Yeah, so at this point, we'll see what Marion Pleasant comes out looking to do as they receive this kickoff. This one is kicked to about the 25. They're going to have to get on that one. They do.
This kick into the wind, as we've mentioned, been extra howly this second half. And that one just kind of got caught up in the wind a little bit. Almost worked out for the Knights as a pseudo onside kick.
And so Coach Cook sends his offense back out onto the field, led by the junior Grant Counselor.
This is now currently a 32-point game. Not sure if you can hear it through the background, as my dad, Gordon Digby, is the PA announcer. But in Ohio high school rules, if it is a 30-plus point score in the second half, it is a running clock. And here was the trick play that we had mentioned. They ran a toss play to Schaefer, Austin Schaefer, and then he threw it towards Caden Ralston. The second play that we've seen him on the field and the second pass attempt that they've had. But that one is incomplete.
Yeah, Schaefer playing quarterback this year as well, so he does know how to sling the ball around. It just looked like a good pass there, but I don't think Ralston had quite broken out of his route to look for that ball.
And you have to think that's the first time Schaefer's thrown it maybe since warm-ups, and otherwise has not really had a chance to throw the football, let alone with the wind on top of that, and still able to get it close to there. But Ralston, like you said, had not finished his route. But a first down here for the Spartans as the clock is rolling, 5:36 remaining and counting here in the ball game, 32-point game.
It's been a completely different feel in this fourth quarter to go into halftime with a 4-point game. It was a 10-6 game, very strong, tough-fought game at that point, still is. But for that game at halftime to be broken into a 32-point game where we're now in a running clock situation is mind-blowing.
Yeah, 28 unanswered points here for the Knights in the second half. And the unanswered part, I would say, is the least surprising because other than 1 or 2 runs, Pleasant really hasn't been able to put together a full offensive drive. But to score 28 is the part that was interesting because it didn't feel like the Knights had 28 points in them. Here's that exact same toss play to Schaefer, and it is stopped in the backfield by 3 different Knights.
Led by Elijah
Roberts, Blake Steele, 2 of them in the background. We're going to click the replay again, but this is that exact same trick play that we've talked about multiple times tonight. You'll see on the left side, Austin Schaefer is the wing back. They'll toss it to him in a toss sweep type of motion. Ralston is the receiver on the far side, and he tries to plant the throw, but that is some fantastic defense by the Knights.
Yeah, the Knights have come out in all 3 phases of this game, offense, defense, and special teams, just on fire in the second half. That ball is pitched over to Casperson, and he fumbles.
The ball's on the ground. The official is motioning first down for the Knights. The Knights get the ball again with another fumble recovery.
And regardless of the score, the Knights are still obviously out there playing as hard as they can.
We're going to watch the replay again here. That is Casperson running out to the right side. Cannot tell who knocked the ball out, but the Knights were able to get on it before it rolled out of bounds. And that is the third turnover tonight?
Yeah, I think it's the second fumble recovery, but the third forced fumble.
Either way, the Knights will take a 1st and 10 at the 43-yard line with a running clock now. So as long as the Knights can pick up first down, it is a 30-plus point game, as I'd mentioned, per Ohio high school rules. So this clock will continue to run, and it actually looks like the Knights are going to line up in a kneeling formation. They know they have enough of a point lead, I think, that you just want to stay healthy. And even though you'll have to run it down and eventually punt it, that's probably what the Knights are trying to do, is run down as much clock as possible, punt it, and then end this game with a, ultimately, like you said, a 3-phase game that the Knights have put together, especially here in the second half.
Yeah, it's been an amazing second half of football from Otsego. And yeah, like AJ had said, it looks like they're just willing to just knee this ball to bring it down as far as they can, and then just kick it away, just trying to stay healthy, which that was pretty much the main concern that I was thinking of as this game broke into about a 30-point ball game was, what are the Knights going to do? Are they going to want to send the first team offense out there? Because at the same time, you want them to stay on fire, essentially. But at the same time, too, you don't want to, send your starters out there and get hurt trying to prepare for a third-round matchup.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to be thinking about here for the Knights, but ultimately, the way that this second half went, I think you're carrying enough momentum, and I think that's what Coach Drew was saying here. We're going to kneel it, not risk any more injuries, run as much clock out as we can, take the punt, whatever we have to do, and come away with the win here for the Knights. So that is, with 2 minutes and counting remaining in the game, presumably the Knights are about to win here, and Kevin has the bracket out here for us. He's going to detail us what's going to happen next.
Yeah, as the Knights move on to the third round of action, they're looking to play the winner of Bucyrus-Winford or Lewistown-Indian Lake. That was a 7-seed and 10-seed matchup, Bucyrus being the 7-seed and Lewistown being the 10-seed. So moving onwards to next weekend, Otsego will remain the home team. They're going to, like I said, either play Lewistown or Bucyrus. Bucyrus is the 7-seed or the 10-seed Lewistown. They're playing at the same time as we are tonight, so we don't quite know what that score is. But we'll find out soon. So as the Knights move on, they will have another home game next weekend. It's going to be on Saturday at 7 p.m. on the 24th. But they're going to go in with a lot of momentum, especially from the second half on the ground. It's been very dominant.
Yeah, like we said, coming out of halftime, you wondered if the Knights would try to go into the ground game more heavily, and Trent Leiter said, yes, please do that. And so far the Knights have been able to do that, capitalize, and put up a ton of points on the board and get a ton of yardage on the ground. Kind of the complete opposite of what we saw in the first half.
Joseph Giroir punts that away. They're going to down this one at the 15-yard line. The clock stops at 41 seconds, so I'm assuming just one more play from Pleasant. Coach Aaron Cook brought his Marion Pleasant Spartans into tonight's game at 2-5. They played a fantastic ball game all the way through the first half. Weren't able to quite keep up in the second half, but they fought well. They played very hard and played very well. Nothing to shake their heads at with how they played tonight. Coming in,
and I am getting word from a tournament word that Bucyrus won their game 15-2 over Indian Lake. So that is presumably the Otsego Knights, as long as that score is correct. The Otsego Knights will play Bucyrus, who was the Bucyrus-Winford was the 7 seed. So it is going to be 7 seed Winford Bucyrus versus the 2 seed in the region, Otsego Knights. And that is going to be a win for the Knights here to cap off today, 38-6. We mentioned that the second half was really a turnaround, 28-0, unanswered comeback here, or not really a comeback, but pulling away for the Knights, which is interesting against the type of offense that we saw here for the Spartans.
Yeah, a great football game. Coach Giroir brought his team out ready to play in all aspects in that second half. Offensively, coming out with Trent Leiter on the ground, just punching holes through that Pleasant defense. It was incredible to watch. And then also Chase Helberg all game. I don't think he found the end zone tonight, but just crucial catches, big catches over the middle, and played a huge part in Otsego's offense. And then defensively in the second half, getting 2 turnovers in the second half, and then going to the special teams game. Joseph Giroir with a 65-ish yard punt to put Pleasant inside of their own 15-yard line, I believe, and then blocking a PAT early in the game. It's been
and tackling the punter on a dropped punt. So
yeah, it's
definitely a 3-phase game. And like you said, defensively, to hold them to 6 points, only allowing 1 touchdown, and then blocking the extra point on that touchdown play. Ultimately, a great job all around for the Knights. Able to get people to the football, and that's what you need to win games. Knights are able to get many people to the football defensively. And, come away with the win here in a convincing final number, but it didn't feel like that at halftime.
No, it was wild. At halftime, it had the feeling that this game was going to be a very, very tough, down to the final play matchup. And the Knights found something that worked for them in the second half, and they ran away with it. So make sure all of you next weekend tune in to Otsego TV, as Otsego will take on the number 7 Bucyrus Winford. I don't know what their mascot name is, but they're going to take them on. They're the 7 seed, going to be taking on Otsego, the 2 seed, here at home. It's 7 p.m. on the 24th. Make sure you tune in. We want to thank all of you for watching tonight. It's been a great evening here in Tontogany, and we look forward to being back. Thanks to everybody in the community that lets us do these broadcasts, and we appreciate everyone that watches us. And we enjoy doing this, and we look to be back next week.
Yeah, we had just about 600 individual streams going, or individual watchers going on over the course of tonight. So thank you guys for watching, for enjoying night football. And if you tuned in and you were a Spartan fan, thank you for tuning in and enjoying tonight's football game. Your kids played a great game, and we wish you the best of luck with next season. And great job to win your first game last week, too, to even be able to make it on in the playoffs. So either way, though, I'm AJ Digby, and I'm with Kevin Vollmer, and we are signing off. Tune in next Saturday on Otsego TV for the next round of the playoffs against Bucyrus Winford.
Good night, everybody.